The room went dead quiet when the wedding coordinator leaned across the polished table, slid a folder toward me, and said, "We have a problem. According to our records, you're the primary account holder for this venue." My brother's wife froze mid-sip, her smile cracking just enough to notice. A week earlier, she'd smirked at me and said, "We don't want drama at our wedding, so you're not invited." Standing there, watching panic ripple across her face, I realized something deliciously ironic. She had no idea who she'd just tried to erase. But to understand how I ended up in that conference room, with everyone staring at me like I'd pulled the rug out from under the entire wedding, I need to take you back. And trust me, if you were in my shoes, you'd be asking yourself the same thing I did. How did my own family turn me into the villain for simply existing? I grew up as the reliable one, not the favorite, not the golden child, just the one everyone called when something needed fixing. My older brother, Mark, was the star, charismatic, loud, always had a plan that somehow never included the work part. Growing up, my parents praised his potential while praising my responsibility. Sounds nice, right? Except responsibility meant expectation without recognition. Can you help Mark with his rent this month? Can you drive Mark to the airport? You don't mind skipping Christmas this year, right? Mark already booked his tickets. You get the picture. And I did it. For years. Because family is family, right? That's what I told myself, until Mark met her. Lena. From the outside, Lena was perfect. Wedding magazine pretty, soft laugh, always dressed like she'd stepped out of a Pinterest board. The kind of woman who said things like, "Oh, I hate drama," while somehow always standing in the center of it. The first time she met me, she hugged me a little too tightly and whispered, "I've heard so much about you." I didn't know then that what she'd heard was a carefully edited version of me, the single sister who works too much, the control freak, the one who can't let go. Mark started repeating her phrases. My parents did too. And slowly, without a single argument, I felt myself being rewritten in their story. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed how someone can erase you without ever raising their voice? That's what Lena did. The wedding planning started fast. Venue, dress, guest list, all within months. Mark called me one night, voice buzzing with excitement. "Hey, so listen," he said, "Lena and I are trying to keep things simple." I laughed. Define simple. "Well," he hesitated, "we might not invite everyone." That should have been my first warning. A week later, Lena invited me to coffee. She chose a cafe with white walls and uncomfortable chairs, like she wanted the setting to feel sterile. She smiled across the table, stirring her drink. "I'll just be direct," she said. "We don't want drama at our wedding." "Okay," I said. She leaned in, lowering her voice. "And you bring history, tension. Mark gets anxious around you." I felt heat crawl up my neck. "Excuse me?" She smiled, actually smiled. "So we think it's best if you're not invited." There it was. No hesitation, no apology. I remember the clink of her spoon against the cup, the way the barista called out orders like nothing had just shattered. "You're uninviting me," I said slowly, "from my brother's wedding." She shrugged. "It's not personal. It's about peace." "Tell me honestly, what would you have done in that moment?" I did nothing. I nodded, I stood up, I paid for my untouched coffee, and I walked out. But something inside me hardened. Because here's the thing Lena didn't know, something Mark didn't know either. I wasn't just helping with the wedding. Months earlier, before Lena ever showed up, Mark had called me in a panic. "I need help," he'd said. "The venue's deposit deadline is tomorrow. If we lose this place, Lena will freak." I'd sighed, like I always did. "How much?" 15 grand. I had it. I always had it. Years of saving, years of being the reliable one. "I'll put it down," I said, "but you pay me back." "Of course," he said quickly. "You're a lifesaver." I paid the deposit, signed the contract, because the venue insisted on one name until financing cleared. That name was mine. I didn't think anything of it, until Lena uninvited me like I was a stain. That's when I started reading. The contract, the clauses, the cancellation policies. And that's when I realized something was seriously wrong. A week after the coffee incident, my phone buzzed while I was at work. Unknown number. "Hello? Hi, this is Rachel from the Willow Crest venue. I'm calling regarding the upcoming wedding booked under your name." My stomach dropped. "Yes? We've had some changes requested, and we need your authorization." I swallowed. Changes? Well, payment structure, guest capacity, vendor access. We tried reaching the couple, but since you are the primary account holder... Primary. Account. Holder. I stepped into an empty conference room, heart pounding. What kind of changes? I asked. She hesitated. Honestly, ones that might violate your contract. That's when the pieces clicked together. Lena had been making moves, big ones, expensive ones, assuming I was just gone.
Can we meet? I asked. Rachel agreed. And that meeting? That's where the cold open happened. That's where Lena's perfect smile finally slipped. When Rachel explained the situation, Lena's face strained of color. There must be a mistake, she said sharply. Mark handles the finances. Rachel looked between us. Actually, all payments came from her account. Mark stared at me. What? I folded my hands, calm. Too calm. You didn't think I'd just disappeared, did you? I asked Lena. Her jaw clenched. This is not the time. Oh, I said softly. I think it is. The coordinator slid the folder back toward me. Until this is resolved, no further changes can be made. The room felt smaller, tighter. Lena stood up. We'll discuss this privately. She tried to walk past me. I didn't move. Not invited, I said, meeting her eyes. Remember? That's when Mark finally spoke. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at him. Really looked. You didn't ask. Silence. And let me tell you, that silence was louder than any argument we'd ever had. What happened next wasn't explosive. It was worse. It was slow. Over the next few days, my parents called. First confused, then annoyed, then angry. Why are you making this difficult? My mother snapped. I'm not, I said. I just want my name removed. Well, then do it, she said. I will, I replied. Once I'm repaid. That's when the truth came out. They didn't have the money. Lena had upgraded everything. Dress, flowers, live band, fireworks. All on the assumption that I'd... What? Vanish? Mark came to my apartment one night, eyes red. She said you'd cause a scene, he said quietly. I laughed. A short, bitter sound. By existing? He sat down heavily. I didn't know she uninvited you. You didn't stop her. He didn't answer. That's when I made my decision. I didn't cancel the wedding. I transferred the contract to myself. The venue became unavailable for their date. Rachel called them the next morning. Lena screamed. Mark begged. And I slept like I hadn't in years. The wedding was postponed. Rumors spread. Friends whispered. My parents stopped calling. But something else happened too. People started asking why. And the truth has a funny way of leaking out. Lena's peacekeeping reputation cracked. Vendors talked. Coordinators noticed patterns. By the time the dust settled, Mark called me again. I'm sorry. For everything. I believed him. But belief doesn't mean reversal. I got my money back. Every cent. I went on a trip the weekend their wedding was supposed to happen. Posted a picture of the sunrise. And here's the thing. You won't believe how light I felt. Not victorious. Not smug. Just free. So tell me, would you have forgiven them? Or would you have finally chosen yourself? Like I did. Because sometimes the real wedding gift is walking away with your self-respect intact. And trust me, they never smirked at me again.